everybody. BroncBuster team here. We got myself and Amy here in Texas. And, Doug's still in Texas, too. He's just off gallivanting around somewhere, right?
Rocking the 600 square feet on the 17th floor, Dallas.
There we go. All right. Well, we've had a lot of adventures the last 23 days. I mean, Amy and I have been home for a couple of days. Doug's been back for a little over a week, but a lot to catch up on. And we want to go into, some of the places we've been, some of the experiences we had. And towards the last part of the show, we're going to go into some of the technical difficulties we ran into, the reasons why, the solutions. And, the fun thing is every time we go off on some of these trips, that's why we do it. We learn more things, right?
Boy, did we.
Boy, did we. All right. So stay along for this journey. It's going to be a fun night as we talk about the events that we've been to. Now, you might have noticed that we've been kind of out of pocket. We haven't done our show for the last 2 weeks, I guess, mainly because when we were on the Rubicon, we couldn't get the satellite to work. It worked that morning, and then it wouldn't work on the trail. And then last week, we were at Hefe at Matt's Off-Road Recovery, and we were working on vehicle till late, and it just was not doable to do both. So with that, we're going to try and catch you up on where we've been, what we've been up to, and kind of a little bit of the experiences that we had. But before that, we have 2 weeks left, a little better than 2 weeks, but about 2 weeks left before Wheeling for a Cause, right, Doug?
Yep. 12th through the 15th up in Mason, Texas, Coutimsy Rocks.
We have a lot of you guys coming on out to join us, and some of you that are procrastinating.
Wait until that last moment.
Wait until the last minute. Hopefully you're going to go on tonight and register so we can make sure we got plenty of food. That would be nice. But no, we wanted to kind of update you on kind of the final. We're still finalizing some plans, and some of that depends on final numbers of people coming. We want to have an experience for you guys that is very rewarding, that you don't feel like you're coming out here making this trip for nothing, but we're going to come and have that sense of camaraderie. We're coming together for a good cause, number one, right? So Doug, I guess lay it out for us a little bit of what we're going to be doing and how this is going to play out for us.
You bet. We got an event that's going to benefit veterans that are mobility disadvantaged, so that they get the help they need to be able to get out in the wilds just like we are. You saw what happened with TJ last year with his track chair and the enjoyment he was able to get out. So we've got events running from starting about Thursday, 9-10 o'clock. I mean, it's sunrise on Thursday. So if you can get away from work, start making those plans now. And it runs through Sunday. Thursday and Friday, we're going to really focus on providing opportunities for those of you who are new to Bronco, new to your Bronco, new to off-roading on Bronco. This is the excellent opportunity to get with some of the best guides. We got Tyler, we've got a few of his friends, and I'll let him talk about that here in a second, that are going to put on some clinics, some trail runs around, taking it. You learn some things in off-rodeo. If you bought your Bronco used, you don't get to go to off-rodeo. You need to learn how to use your Bronco. I'm going to talk a little bit later about with the Rubicon. It's an incredible machine out of the box. There's so much you can do, and it's so limited, but just by the driver. And so don't be that limited driver. You're going to have this opportunity come out Thursday, especially into Friday, some beginner, some intermediate, classroom type, but out on the trail, learning the techniques, mastering the techniques, learning your vehicle. Even if you went to off-rodeo, there's some things I went to off-rodeo, and 3 or 4 months later, I couldn't remember them. And so this is a great primer for learning your vehicle and then learning how to become a better driver so that you can keep up really with your vehicle. And then Saturday, we're going to go into the big day. We're going to have some great runs on Friday for, from beginner all the way to advanced. And then Saturday, we're going to have some competitions. If you remember last year with King of the Hill, that was exciting. We had lots of smoke, lots of burning rubber, lots of failures, some successes.
Lots of breakage.
Yeah. A lot of breakage. So it was a great time. Well, we're probably going to do that again this year. So you need to come, be part of it.
Jesse with Hella Bad Broncos has agreed to set that all up. So if you guys know Jesse, it's going to be fun.
And then we're gonna have some ladies runs, some lady runs. We have it scheduled for Sunday. It could happen on Saturday as well. We could do it both days. So there's going to be some variability. A lot of good times set out.
One of the things that we're talking about for Thursday night, so we're not having a planned like really formal meal, only on Friday and on Saturday. Breakfast, they actually have a little. I guess little building that they sell breakfast tacos and stuff out of, and they'll also do stuff for lunch, or you can cook your own. But we talked about Thursday for everybody that's coming. On Thursday, we want to kind of get around the campfire, maybe roast some hot dogs. So we're going to provide hot dogs, the basics, probably some marshmallows and stuff we can roast around the fire. But if everybody wants to kind of bring something to contribute, maybe a little potluck, I think that'll be a good time to say, hey, my name is so-and-so, nice to meet you, and just sit around the campfires and get to know each other. So, this whole experience is really about the off-road community coming together.
Yep. And Friday's dinner is going to be sponsored by SOML, So That Others May Live. That's the charity that we're benefiting this year. They're going to put on a great dinner. They did it last year. If you were there last year, remember that. Don't need a ticket for that. That's donation only. You will need a ticket for the gala dinner on Saturday. So make sure one ticket does come with each vehicle registration, but if you're bringing additional people, make sure you pick up a ticket for them as well.
So the other thing to note, because not everybody I know that's watching this is going to be able to make it.
Yep.
That doesn't mean you can't participate. We are going to have a raffle on Saturday night after the gala.
Yep. And
that raffle, if you watched last year or if you were there last year, we had close to $16,000 worth of stuff we raffled. We expect to be close to the same. We've got Ted Nugent has offered another guitar signed by him. We've got a lot of very generous vendors that have offered stuff. Dana Spicer is going to be giving us a full set of CV shafts. That's over $2,000. Anyways, there's a lot of really big prizes. I think that'll be fun and great. So get on the website, buy raffle tickets, because you do not have to be present. As long as we know who you are, we'll like we did last year. We got them ahead of time. We wrote them out on the ticket. We put the ticket in there for you. And then we can still ship out stuff to you. So it's a way for you to support our veterans and still win some really cool stuff. So keep in mind, get on the website, which is wheelingforacause.org.
Yep.
And, at least buy some raffle tickets, right, Doug?
Yep. And if for any reason you're not going to be able to make it and you do find it in your heart to buy raffle tickets, which we certainly appreciate. Last year we were, the raffle tickets is really what gave us the opportunity to make donations above and beyond the track chair that we gave to TJ. And so, and those donations started the program that SOML has been so successful with reintegrating veterans back into the community and back into their lifestyles that they had before they suffered injuries from combat. So it really makes a big difference. Let me know through info@wheelingforacause.org or wheelingforacause@gmail.com. And let me know and we'll get your name on there. And or you can reach out to me at doug@BroncBusterTX.com. Let me know, hey, I'm not going to be there, but I bought a bunch of raffle tickets. We'll make sure you get your name on them and get them distributed. And if you all want them all in one box, we'll put them all in one box.
so Doug, I'm going to correct you real quick. It is info@wheelingforacause.org. Sorry.
Thank you.
Just so everybody knows, it's info@wheelingforacause.org. And by all means, email us, let us know. We're also always open to suggestions and ideas and for future. We're already going to be finishing this event and planning next year's. So if there's suggestions for next year, or if there's a recipient that you feel is very worthy of our cause, we're always open to hearing about that too. So,
and I know a lot of people on the broadcast your guys are hardcore, and we see you up there at Hidden Falls and everything. But if you know somebody that's new to Bronco, hasn't got out much with their Bronco, wanted to get out with their Bronco, but they weren't sure anymore, did off-roading a year ago, tell them this is going to be the best investment they ever did. Not only going to benefit veterans, but they're going to learn how to become a much better driver in a 2-day time. And again, we'll talk about the Rubicon a little bit, and I'll attest to getting out there and driving is what makes you a better Bronco driver.
And for you ladies, Amy's going to be heading up the ladies run on Sunday.
Yep.
So you don't want to miss that. It's going to be a lot of fun. She doesn't give herself credit, but she does awesome. So before we move on to the Rubicon, I do want to say hi to everybody that's on and commenting. We've got starting at the top here, got Destination Bigfoot Bronco, Robert Vickers, Life Beef for Work, Bird Dog, Lone Star. Lone Star is just right down here in Katy by us. Bird Dog, awesome. I'm happy to see. He said he's going to be possibly moving to Texas here in the near future. So we hope so. Would love to hang out with you more. Of course, we have our good friend Walter from Las Vegas. How you doing, buddy? Well, Walter, we're actually going to be hosting this event every year here in Texas. Sorry, but we'll get you out here to one of these. We got Robert Vickers. We're actually going to be with Robert tomorrow, and we'll talk a little bit more on the technical stuff, what we're doing with Robert later on in the show. Mark, been talking to Mark a few times today, helping him out with some CVs and stuff. Awesome guy. Can't wait to see you out here, Wheeling. I know Mark's coming. He said he's going to be there.
He's registered.
He's registered, and we're excited to see him. He's also going to bring me some goodies too, so we're looking forward to that. So with that, I want to jump into the Rubicon and give you some of my perspectives. I want Amy to give some of her perspective, because the Rubicon, even though it's, there's no one obstacle that's like, oh my gosh, that's impossible to do. But it's literally 12 miles, right? Am I saying?
Yeah, about 12 miles.
12 miles of continuous obstacle after obstacle in some of the most beautiful territory in the country, if you ask me. I mean, I think it's become our yearly tradition. We went last year, and I think we're going to go every year just because it's kind of our getting away from everything, and it's quiet, it's lovely, it's peaceful. Amy, what's some of your takeaway from it? What was your favorite part?
I love that Reagan came along with us. We pulled her out of school for a week, and I know some people are going to be upset about it, but you know what? She did great. They let her drive the Bronco. She even hopped in with Levi and the XJ, and I loved seeing her just having fun. Yeah,
so Reagan is our 15-year-old daughter that's soon to be 16. So, a little bit of backstory. She's a little bit of a scary driver on the highway, but she actually does really good off-road. Her first time ever driving a vehicle was in Sand Hollow, and she drove the chute. I mean, literally, that was her first time ever behind the wheel. It was with our friend Levi with the XJ. You've probably seen him in some of our videos. He's awesome dude that has this XJ.
Fun J.
The Fun J is what we call it, yeah. And Levi came along on this trip as well. So, some of the things that we were able to do, and I kind of wanted to touch on, because it ties in with what we want to help teach a little bit more also at Wheelin' for a Cause, some of the abilities of the Bronco. And that is, if you guys don't know about this feature, I'm going to show it right here, and then we're going to talk. Okay, to use the trail control, all you got to do is push this center button. It'll pull it up. Well, I turned it off. All right, use set button to set speed. So you're going to basically go down here and hit your set button. And I actually have it in reverse right now. So it's just going to crawl at 1 mile per hour. If I want to go faster, I'm going to speed it up. 2.5, 3. I don't want to run into the bushes, so I'm going to go ahead and stop. As soon as I stop, it puts it back to 1. We'll put it in drive, and now it's going to crawl forward at 1 mile per hour. Nice thing is that actually allows you to hold a speed. It stops for you. It maintains the throttle, everything. Okay, the reason I bring that up is, so my very first Bronco, BroncBuster, is a manual transmission. I don't have that option. So I mean, I knew about it because we went to off-rodeo. We were the first public group to go, but I never used it all this time because, I don't know, I guess I didn't figure I needed it. Now, I played around with it. I actually put it in on the trail control and showing here my daughter some of the features here. I actually stand up with it. I know, probably not the safest thing. We're on the Rubicon. I don't have my foot on the gas. I don't have my foot on the brake. And I'm not recommending to do this, but I'm just showing this as an example of not what not to do.
Not to do. For sure.
No, I guess I'm showing an example of what it can do for you. And the reason this is key is because right after that, I put my 15-year-old daughter in and I let her do, a couple miles of the Rubicon and a few obstacles. And obstacles that normally she would have been like, oh, Dad, I can't do that. That's scary, was doable because she could set that at 1 mile per hour. The Bronco would maintain that speed. And if it was going downhill, it would brake and kind of stop. So a great feature. If you've never used it, I highly recommend it. That was one thing that just, it's slow going on the Rubicon. So I used that quite a bit just to kind of enjoy the scenery and just crawl along the way. Anyways, so just that was one of the features. Doug, what was some of the stuff that maybe you learned using on the Rubicon?
Well, it was a beautiful year. I guess it had snowed pretty significant the winter before. So there were some changes to Rubicon. It was probably maybe a little bit harder than it has been in the past.
A lot more difficult than last year. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a reminder, left turn is a stock running 35s. And one of the things that was challenging about it is there's a lot of bouldering. And when you're running 35s, it just means you come into contact with your undercarriage more. It doesn't mean you're doing damage or anything. It's just you have a lot more sound. It's a lot more of an interactive experience. And especially because I was following Portal, which was running 5.5 inches above me. And, Tyler would be clearing rocks and I would be bouncing off of them. And so that was an experience. I switched. I was having trouble with my throttle, and so I actually switched to a right-left foot driving. Started to perfect that a little bit. I hadn't used it since off rodeo. It makes a huge difference because when you're running shorter tires, smaller tires, you're going up and down rocks, and so every time you go down a rock, even though it's not much, your vehicle accelerates, and so you're getting that banging, which isn't doing a lot of damage to the undercarriage, but it exhausts you. It's a little bit of a stress, and when that goes on for 4 or 5 hours at a time, it was a little bit. Obviously, a stock 35 made it. I made it all the way through. I would prefer to have maybe perched it or done something with the shocks. Probably run 37s or 38s. I think it would have been a little bit smoother of an experience. Sounds like last year I wouldn't have had as much a problem. It wasn't quite as bad.
So the funny thing is when we started talking about this, Doug was like, well, do I need 37s? What do you think? And I'm like, Doug, honestly, I don't remember it being that bad. And I think you'll do just fine. Right. And then we're sitting there and Doug was a trooper. He didn't get mad at me once, I don't think. I'm sitting there thinking he's probably cursing me because he's got this beautiful brand new Bronco. He's been on a few trails, but and he's putting it through the test for sure.
Yeah,
but it's great.
One of the things that I can't say enough for y'all who are running stock 35s and you're considering, I don't know if I want to. The undercarriage is built for it. I went and ran the Rubicon 12 miles. And yeah, and I bang for 3 days and drove 2,000 miles home, no issues. Took it through the car wash, clean as a whistle. So the Bronco is designed to take you where you need to go. And it's just becoming a better driver. Everybody was nice enough to say that even though I've had some experience driving and everything else, I was a different driver on the third day than I was on the first day. And so I can't implore you guys enough. Get your Broncos, get out on the trail. The Bronco will take it. It'll bring you home and you'll become a better driver and you'll do less contact as you become a better driver.
Yeah, so I pointed out Brian Martinez because Brian got to actually see the Bronco after the Rubicon. Brian's been on the show a couple of times as a spectator, I guess, and I've gotten to know Brian quite well because he lives really close to my mom and dad in Mesquite, and so every time I go through there, I always have him do something for me. It seems like whether it's trailer tires, working on my truck, or something on one of the Broncos, and in this case, he got to do something on all three because I had. blown out tire on the trailer. He's got a tire shop there. And anyways, Mesquite, it's a great guy, great. He doesn't just do tires. They do a little bit of everything, but he fixed my truck. I had a blown out tire on my dually and I didn't even know it, causing vibration. And then we had, flat anyways. And then I had to do an alignment because I had to change a steering rack on the trail. We're going to go into why in a little bit. I want to continue talking about the Rubicon. We had quite a bit of carnage, but that leads up to part of the story too. I mean, we only planned on being on the Rubicon on Tuesday and then part of Wednesday. And of course, Tuesday, we got a late start. Why did we get a late start? Amy, you tell us why we got a late start.
Waiting on Mitch, man.
We were on California time.
California.
So Mitch, Wild Horses. I did the most planning that I've ever done before, I think.
You did.
I actually put GPS coordinates, be here at this time for staging. Then we're going to meet at this spot at this time. We're going to hit the trail 9 a.m., right? Well, Mitch didn't read the whole thing, and he's not on here to defend himself, which I invited him tonight, but he's not here, so I got to just tell this story. I said, be here at this time. Well, he didn't read all the way through and just went to the first set of coordinates, which was the staging. So the staging was supposed to be the end of the trail. That's where we wanted to leave our trucks and our trailers. And then it's a 2.5 hour drive all the way up and around to where we wanted to start the trail, which was right about, let's see. I think I got a little video I can show. Nope. Never mind. Sorry. I thought I had something there. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, so we were at the start of the trail. We waited. No cell service, but that was the one time I was able to get my satellite up and going while we're waiting. And I get a hold of Mitch, and he's like, yeah, we're here at the staging area. And now it's like 9:30. So we said, well, we're going to wait for you. Then we decided, no, let's go ahead and start the trail and let them catch up. So we start off, we're having a good time, just taking our time, going through the trail, beautiful scenery. I mean, literally, this is the scenery out there. If you've never been on the Rubicon, it's a lot of shelves of rock, a lot of beautiful scenery. And, this is some of the easier stuff with obstacles along the way, but that kind of gives you an idea. So finally, first off, we decided that was Tuesday. We were going to have our live stream. So the whole time I'm thinking, all right, hopefully Mitch catches up with us. Well, he caught up with us probably about an hour before we were set to do the live stream. And we had just gotten to what they call the Soup Bowl. And we played around on the Soup Bowl, and the portals did great. Mitch did great. We're having a great time. We're like, all right, time to get the satellite out. We take the satellite out, hook it up to the power source, and the power source didn't have enough power to power it, and I could not get it on. I couldn't communicate with Justin, couldn't communicate with nobody to say, hey, guess we're not having a live stream. Sorry, guys. But that was that. I mean, after 20 minutes, we said, well, let's just keep on going, because I believe it was getting to be –
it was getting late.
It was getting late, and we wanted to still make it to
Buck Island.
But yeah, Buck Island is where we wanted to camp, which was our goal, right? Well, that's still several miles and a lot of obstacles ahead, including Little Sluice. Now, don't let the name Little Sluice fool you, because Little Sluice is actually way harder than Big Sluice. It's this boulder field that you got to have at least 40s. You should anyways.
Yeah, stock 35. I had to use the bypass. There was no, I would have had to been dragged up it.
So we do that. I mean, had a great time, and trust me, we're going to have a video about all this. We're still putting it together, but had a good time. We made it through successfully. Mitch made it through, no breakage, and we got maybe 300 yards off of that trail, and my tires went like that.
Bronco hugs.
I mean, I wasn't even on the obstacle. I'm like, oh gosh. I mean, we were beating on it. I broke my tail light because, I mean, you get in these really tight areas, you got to keep going back and get yourself positioned. And I had my friend Levi, he was giving us, directions, and I didn't see that I was so close. And anyway, broke my tail light. We get out of there, and of course that happened. So it was decided, this is where we're camping tonight. And again, I'm going to come back later to talk about why it failed and what we learned from it and stuff. But long story short, we camped there that night, had a great time. I mean, we cooked some good food, just sat around the campfire. No, not campfire. We had a little teeny,
No campfire out there.
No campfire.
We sat around.
Any fire.
Yeah, we sat around and visited, right? And then we got up the next morning.
Wait, we got a 4 a.m. wake up call.
Yeah, Doug woke us all up at 4 a.m. That's right.
So a coyote group came through.
Coyotes, that's right. There's
4 a.m.
Yeah.
Said hi.
And they were pretty loud. So I got up, I started cooking breakfast. We're hanging out around the fire, around the little pit we we're cooking on, right? And decided, okay, it's now getting light. We fed everybody. Let's get the portal Bronco fixed on the steering. And quickly, what had happened was one of the tie rods, not going to say who did it, but I didn't check it. It didn't get tightened in there, so the threads pulled out of the rack.
It was probably me.
It was Amy. With the threads pulled out of the rack, it ruined the threads on the rack and the tie rod. So I kind of wedged it in there. That wasn't going to be enough. It wasn't going to get us back at all. And we're not even at this point, because of where we broke that night, we've still got better part of 8-9 miles, I think, of trail. And so we come up with a clever idea we tried welding. We didn't have a welder, but it was like, well, let's try this whole trick of taking jumper cables and wire and see if we can get enough heat. That didn't work. So then we got out my tools and Levi's tools, and we drilled through the rack, through the bolt, and I took one of the little stainless bolts out of my buster brace, and I screwed it in there tight, and it held. And I'm like, okay, I think this is going to work.
Use duct tape.
And duct tape just to hold it all together, because MacGyver, right?
Can't do anything without duct tape.
Anyway, so we take off. We keep going, and I'm sorry. I got it fixed, and immediately leaving our camp, there's this drop down off of this ledge, and I heard a loud pop. Yep. But I couldn't figure out what it was, and I actually didn't figure out exactly what it was until 3 days ago when I pulled it apart when I got home. And so we'll go into that too, because I learned a lot from that pop. But after that pop, the whole rest of the time, I didn't have lockers. My lockers would not engage, so I was three-wheeling it from there on the Rubicon. And we made it maybe another mile or two at best, and it broke again. It pulled out again. It sheared that bolt off, pulled out.
It was a good idea for a little bit. We went over some tough obstacles.
We did. We did some tough stuff, and it worked pretty good. Well, then I drilled it out again, and this time I went a little bit bigger, and I put an Allen wrench through it, because Allen wrench is hardened steel. We figured, well, Allen wrench is going to get us off the trail, right? Well, not really. We got through, I think it was the bottom of Big Sluice. So we made it to the lake. So we made it quite a ways. And this is now on the second day 2. It's about 5 or so in the afternoon, which we figured we'd be done and off the trail about 3 and heading to southern Utah, because I was headed with Matt's Off-Road Recovery. So I had all this big plans. It got all washed down the drain because we're still on the trail because of the braking and stuff, trying to get off of it. Oh, meanwhile, right before that happened, Mitch broke a CV.
Yeah.
And when Mitch broke the CV, his computer completely shut him down. It wouldn't allow him to engage 4-wheel drive. We tried battery. We tried everything to get the computer to reset. And I of course, had my computer with me with FDRS, which is the Ford program, but without internet, we couldn't do nothing. So from there on, I was dealing with, of course, bottom of Little Sluice. I'm broke again. And this time it sheared off completely. So we get my Bronco winched. We use the winch to kind of circle back through the winch and pull the tire and steer it a little bit. We got it up out of the way off the trail. And then we spent hours winching Mitch through it. Ended up through Amy's genius plan, moving a boulder about the size of a Volkswagen because we couldn't get Mitch through. So we forever changed the Rubicon. Sorry, guys. We literally took winches and pulled this big boulder out of the way so we could get Mitch down. Now
let me just say, I amazingly was able to get through that obstacle
yeah,
unscathed. I don't know how I did it.
I don't know how you did either.
We just got the perfect line.
Because it was a waterfall that had washed out a lot because it's right through this kind of gorge and these big boulders and all the snow and the runoff. It made it really gnarly. And so, of course, I'm pulled up out of the way because that's where I broke again. We're winching Mitch through. I'm literally dragging him through because he's only got one wheel working. Yeah. Okay, Lone Star. I'm funny. Anyway, so we get now we're trying to just make it back to the vehicles by, well, at this point we hadn't even made it to Rubicon Springs, so we still had.
We were talking about maybe getting back by midnight.
By midnight, yeah. So we're winching Mitch through everything. We've ditched my vehicle, but it's taken forever to winch Mitch through every single obstacle. And we get to Rubicon Springs, and we talk to them, and they're like, well, do you want to camp here tonight? And we said, no, we need to get back to our vehicles. So we kept going. I don't think we made it another mile when the realization hit my head. Is like, what are we doing? This is going to get somebody hurt.
We still had 10 miles to go.
Well, not 10. I'd say 12. We were halfway, but in my mind is like the rest of it's pretty easy, but it's still some obstacles. Well, I forgot all about Cadillac Hill, which was like a mile climb up some extreme stuff. So anyways, I just said, hey guys, let's rethink this. Now this is where Amy comes into play, because I said, I think all y'all need to stay here and camp tonight. Me and Levi are good. Well, Mitch ended up coming, but at the time I said, me and Levi need to get back and go get some parts, because we were going to go get a steering rack out of Mitch's trailer, because that was the only way we were going to get me off the trail, is to replace the steering rack, because we ruined that thread, and bring back some more food and water, and be back early in the morning, and hopefully have a way to get Mitch back in 4-wheel drive too. So at this point, the sun had gone down, right?
Yeah.
Amy, what was your attitude at that point?
I was not impressed with the idea at all.
It's already 2 days without a shower.
Yep. And we had already eaten what we were going to have for dinner, so we didn't have much for food. We scrambled up some sandwiches and stuff, but yeah, took everything in me to not throw a fit.
She did very good.
Fit I wanted to throw, but
and we also had Heidi. If you guys, Heidi's been in a couple of our videos, because she's now doing a lot of our media. This was Heidi's first time ever in her life camping.
And that poor girl, she was a trooper, because we had an extra tent for her to sleep in. I thought we had pulled all of the blankets out of Portal. Nope. And I gave her stuff. I took our stuff. So Reagan and I stayed in our tent. She stayed in her tent. Come to find out that night, she only had a work blanket and a small sleeping bag. And it got really cold that night.
40 degrees.
So work blanket was the throw blanket that it's like a moving blanket, and I used to throw under the vehicles in the oil and grease to work on in the dirt.
The poor girl had to wrap herself in that oily blanket. I felt so bad, but she was such a good trooper over it.
She still got her makeup on in the morning too, which was very impressive.
We threw her in left turn for an hour and turned on the heated seats.
Yeah, she's like, Doug, can I? So basically mine and Levi's story is we ended up taking Mitch with us. We bomb it back. I mean, literally, we made it back to the vehicle in an hour and a half, and we were in the XJ or the Fun J, and like driving like crazy. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, I am so glad we did not try and all do this, because we wouldn't even make it by sunrise with everybody and getting the vehicles winched. And also we had Mitch's brother and his, I think 67 Bronco had broke a brake line. And so we had more carnage than just that. So we're very glad. We make it back into Lake Tahoe to go grab some supplies. It's like 10:30 at night. That's when I get a message to Justin.
And knowing that he was going to be able to take a shower that night and sleep in a bed, I wasn't happy.
But you got a full night's sleep. I got like 3 hours, because by the time
about the only thing that got me through that decision.
Because we got back to the camp or to the trailer, and then we spent probably 2 hours with Levi. So picture this: we have the Fun J. that doesn't have much room. We have his spare tire, his tools, and now I want to load all my tools and jack and steering rack and get us back out there. So we unloaded it and packed it like 4 times, trying to fit every little thing in there so we could make it back. And we go to sleep. Well, I did get a shower. Mitch, he was too tired. He climbed in the back of the 450 and went to sleep. I got a shower, went to bed in the trailer, and we got up at about 4 a.m. to start heading back with all the stuff so we could come rescue everybody, right? Well, Levi went out to start up the Fun J, and he
never a dull moment.
Accidentally locked the keys in the Fun J. Now we're out at the trailhead, which there's no phone service. There's no call in AAA at 4 a.m. because there is no phone service. And he's like, how in the heck are we going to get in this? And just so happens, I mean, if you've never seen the Fun J, it's a beater completely. I mean, only 1 or 2 of the doors open. You're crawling through stuff. The rock slides have bent up where you can't even get doors open on one side. But he says, I got an idea. He goes, there's one door that I've never been able to open before. Chances are it's not locked if I can get it to open. And Levi's amazing because he's very limited on his mobility because he cut his arm, almost cut his arm off one time. And so he's not able to do much, but he's sitting there and playing with this door. And for the first time ever since he's owned it, he got the door to open. Now it wouldn't open all the way because of the rock slides were up in it. So now we're at 4:30 in the morning, sitting there thinking, well, how in the heck are we going to get that rock slide yanked back down? So we get out chains, come alongs. We're hooking it to the leg of my trailer. We're come along in it. We get it just enough to where we can open it. We get in it. We put our stuff in, and now we're off, right? I'm not going to bore you with a lot of details. Again, we got 2 videos we're putting together for this trip. It's going to be a fun video, but we get back out there, and Doug was awake, and one of the other guys awake, but everybody else was still asleep because, I mean, the sun's just barely coming up at this point.
Honestly, I heard them coming. I was awake. I just didn't want to deal with a camera in my face, so
yeah.
I was hiding. Honestly,
I was impressed by how quickly you guys got back. I never dreamed you'd be back that quick.
Well, I think it was 3 hours of sleep. But anyways, we got back. I was just glad we didn't break Levi's Fun J. I don't know how that thing keeps going on 33-inch tires. But we get there, we go out and fix Portal, which I've changed out a lot of steering racks, and I've done it on the trail before. We got that done fairly quickly. I think it took an hour and a half or so.
That was impressive how quick you got that switched out too.
Got back, and now we want to get Mitch's going, which after going back up Cadillac Hill, I'm like, there's no way we're getting Mitch out of here in one-wheel drive. We really need to get his lockers back and working. So on a Hail Mary, I pulled out the Elon Musk satellite, right? The
Starlink.
What's that? Oh,
Starlink.
Yeah, we pull out the Starlink. And it fired up this time. We couldn't get it the day before, but it fired up. And all of a sudden, not just did I have internet, but everybody in our camp was all of a sudden on their phone playing. And, they're communicating, and the girls are playing on their phone. Reagan saved all of her Snapchats, so she was quite happy about that. And anyways, so right? I now can connect to Ford's system. And in about 20 minutes, I had all of the computer happy again on Mitch's Bronco. Still was 3-wheeling, and so was I, because I had a break, and we're going to talk about what that pop was that broke. But we were able to restore Mitch, and then at that point we started up Cadillac Hill. We make it back by 6 o'clock that night. So 3 days on the Rubicon. It was amazing. I wouldn't trade this trip for nothing. It was an adventure.
Next year.
But we learned some stuff. Number one, if you're going to make changes to your Bronco, double check. Or if you have somebody else working on it, double check that everything's tightened. What happened was, again, like I said, the tie rod was loose. And so as it backed its way out, it literally ripped the threads out. So that was easily preventable. That should have never happened. But that caused us some fun, I guess, right? Some adventure. The next thing was the CV axle. Now, I've got of course, the portals. I've got the upgraded tube. And when I installed the tube, one of the parts of that tube is this intermediate shaft, right? And you'll see there's a coupling on this intermediate shaft, and you'll see there's a gap right here because there's actually a circlip on here that holds it in. But now, if you hit this really hard, it actually compresses that in, and there's another circlip in here for when your CV goes in it, for that to then lock the CV from being able to not pop out. So I didn't know that. I didn't think about that. And it's a good thing because now I can include this. We're actually getting together tomorrow. Robert Vickers, that's on here tonight. We're actually putting the tube on his. I'm putting together the install video. And with that learning part of it, you see right here, there's actually a part of the CV where that circlip goes that sheared off, because that's all that was engaged. And when I went to drop down that ledge, the wheels dropped full droop, pulling the CV out to where it was barely engaged, and then sheared that off. So again, I felt like it was an important thing to point out. Luckily, you know, 3-wheel drive was not all that difficult because with the portals, I could clear everything. There was a couple places I had to kind of give it a little bit because having front lockers would have been really handy. But I learned from that. It's like, okay, there's little steps that in installing or in changing anything that you want to make sure happens. So yeah, Robert. Okay, Robert's now nervous, right? He says, pay attention tomorrow. Well, I learned this for you, Robert. That way we make sure nothing like that ever happens, right?
One thing that really drove home on left turn stock, if I am convinced that if I did not have the Buster braces on my tie rods and if I did not have that bushing installed, I would have suffered carnage just along with everybody else. It was so nice to be able to, like I said, I mean, it was exhilarating, but it was exhausting. It's like anything that was worthwhile, going over those boulder fields and down those rocks and everything. And one of the things that never crossed my mind is I'm going to snap a tie rod or I'm going to lose steering, because I had those installed. They're just, the Rubicon proved that it's a necessity that those two things need to go on your vehicle first off, and then you can build off of that.
No, you're absolutely right. And you know what? You look back at those kind of experiences. I don't know about you, but at the time you're kind of cursing a little bit under your breath and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. But at the end, I think things work out for a reason. Now, I told you guys that our next stop, I was actually supposed to get off the trail on Wednesday, and then Thursday we were driving straight to Southern Utah with Matt's Off-Road Recovery to install the same tube that we're talking about. And we of course had to reschedule that, which actually ended up working for the better because it was going to already be hard. Matt ended up going out of town to go on their adventure in northern Nevada out to the mines and stuff, which left us open for Monday, Tuesday-ish to go put the tube on. So anyways, all was good. We ended up spending some time with family. I had a nephew that had returned home from a mission, and we got to go see him, and it was good. It was all fine. But we also learned something at Hefe on Matt's Off-Road Recovery. Number one, we went to install the tube, and one of the things we had decided to do was to go ahead and buy from Ford some of these intermediate shafts and have all of this already pre-assembled, because we had some experiences. Bird Dog, he's on here. He could attest to it. When he put his on, the shop made a mistake on pressing some stuff in. So we're like, okay, let's try and simplify this process. We're going to buy these intermediate shafts and what they call a rebuild kit for the differential. Well, we learned something as we went to assemble Hefe. You'll see there's a difference in length. Ford hasn't been able to explain this yet, because I had actually bought, I think, 15 sets for all the ones that we're getting ready to ship out, and all of them were too long. We've called, actually our dealership has called the Ford. They've said put a case in. They can't figure out if the supplier messed up or if it was just wrong dimensions. We still haven't got an answer on that, but now we ended up. I had already assembled his, tried to put that CV in, no go. We pulled it all back apart, and that's when we learned this. So it's constantly learning, constantly coming up with, okay, how do we go with this on the fly? We get him up and going, and if any of you guys watch Matt's Off-Road Recovery, their YouTube channel, they had the previous 2 weeks prior had gone out and done, what was it called? The sand shoot, right? And I hadn't seen it yet because we've been on the road. I haven't really watched any TV. And Hefe's like, okay, when we get this up and going, we're going to go do the sand shoot. And I'm thinking, oh, the shoot, because we're in Sand Hollow. I've been on the shoot many a times. And he goes, no, this is a different sand shoot. And he goes, have you not seen our most recent video? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, Hefe. I kind of felt bad, like I'm not watching their YouTube right now. And he goes, well, you got to go watch it tonight, right?
Shouldn't have watched it.
And so it's like we got through working on his Bronco. We're going to go out the next day on the sand shoot. And we watched this video, which if you haven't, go watch it. It's pretty fun.
It's funny because all of a sudden I started feeling sick. Like I wasn't going to be able to go the next day.
So I'll be short with the story so we don't run out of time. But basically the gist of it is Matt goes down there to see how many of the vehicles they can get back up the sand chute with no problems. And he figured, all right, we're going to take the Ritter. We're going to take the Banana. We're going to take the Morvere. We're going to take all these vehicles that are so capable and no problems, right? Well, they get down there and every single vehicle was getting stuck. The only vehicles that did not get stuck was the Banana and Hefe's Bronco. In fact, Hefe's Bronco shot up the chute, no problem, and which then made Hefe say, all right, we want to go back out and see. We actually want to have a competition between the Banana, driven by Matt's son, Chet, right? Chet.
Rhett.
Is it Rhett? Rhett. Sorry if I got it wrong. But anyways, his son driving the Banana and Hefe driving the Bronco. Matt was out of town, still driving back from Northern Nevada with, they were trying to find the lost mine. And so it was just us. So we head out there. I still, I'm not sure if I don't have lockers because it sure feels like when I turn my switch on, it feels like I do. But I hadn't got anywhere to verify that my wheels weren't spinning. So I had already driven it, 1,000 miles or so since the Rubicon, or 800 miles or so since the Rubicon. Drove fine, no noise. And it appears that the rockers are working. So I say, I'm going to take it down in the sand chute myself. Well, we get there first and we run into Rory with Trailmater and Paul with Fab Rats. So, which is kind of funny because Rory's clear up in Moab. Fab Rats is up in, kind of central Utah somewhere. But they were off doing something else and they decided, okay, I think they saw Matt's video and they kind of had it in their head. They wanted to go see if they could do it. They were actually Fab Rats. He made it up no problem. He shot up the sand chute. Rory's big, the Trailmater, it was stuck and he was winching himself back up when we arrived. We decided we're going to leave some of the vehicles up top. And then after we got them up and out of the way, they're halfway and perched up. We let Hefe and Chet go down, Rhett, gosh, whatever it is. Anyways, go down the Banana and the Bronco, and they competed. Now, we kind of been teasing you guys of who wins. We'll have a video out tomorrow, but I'll tell you, it was the Bronco. I'll kind of spoil that for you, right?
He was never good at keeping secrets.
The Bronco did amazing. And a lot of people on the internet said, oh, I think the Banana's going to win. I think the Banana's going to win. I think that's one of those areas where the Bronco is always going to excel over any solid axle. But anyways, it did great. It was fun. But now it was my turn. And I got stuck because that's when I found out in the sand that I only have one wheel spinning. The other wheel's not doing nothing. Things started clicking in my head. I said, okay, I broke a CV or I broke a shaft. I broke something in there. Rory helped. It was kind of fun because now we got to spend the next 2 hours with Rory and with Paul and with Hefe. So I got three of the most fun recovery teams out there recovering my Bronco up. And we got to the halfway point and we said, all right, let's get out our Yankum ropes. All of us carry the Yankum rope. They have their version of the brand. We have our version. We tied them together and we're at the halfway point where it's like, all right, we're going to create a chain. Rory's going to get a run and start and go up. And just as it starts to pull tension, I'm going to start going and just have him pull me up the rest of the way. Problem is at that point, all of a sudden my Bronco caught up to Rory and Rory got stuck. So we did that like 4 or 5 times, couldn't get up. And at that point decided we're going to hook up another vehicle. So now we get Paul further up the hill, up to a spot. I think it was like 100 or 100 feet. So we connected a whole bunch of ropes and winch. And we couldn't get up that way either. So now we got 3 of us. So then next we hook up the Banana in front of him. And now they're up on flat ground. And then we hook up Hefe and his Bronco ahead of him. And so we literally have this like 150-foot long chain of vehicles and ropes, and finally pulled up to the top. So it was a great time. We got to hang out with these guys. It was totally unexpected. So all in all, a good trip. But I will say, Amy took off to go to the ladies' room for a minute, but she'll attest to it. It's been a long. We were on the road for 23 days between going to
Wild horses with portals.
Wild horses installing portals, and then we drove all the way up to from California to Colorado. We stopped in Idaho and had to do some stuff there. Then Colorado back to the Rubicon back down. So we put a lot of miles on the portal vehicle for sure. So I think I'm at 8,000 miles now, which again is part of that learning. I'm trying to, I'm learning how the Bronco responds. Everybody says, well, how's it going to last long term and any kind of other issues? The only way I know that is drive it off road and then drive it on the highway, then drive it off road, then drive it on the highway. So we're definitely putting it through the paces for the, on that. But yeah, that kind of sums up everything we've been up to and what we're doing. Again, the tube going tomorrow with Robert. We're going to be installing this very one right here in my hands on Robert's vehicle, and I'll be putting together the install video for you guys. I decided that there's no choice. Until Ford gets this resolved, we can't supply it with the shaft, which the shaft that comes in yours is more than adequate anyways. So save you that money for now. We're going to come up with some other options as far as maybe hardened steel shafts if somebody wants that. Although the shaft failure has not really been a problem, especially now that I know why mine failed. And the biggest thing is knowing, giving you guys the proper instruction on how to do it. Now that I've had this thing, I feel like, okay, this is the perfect time to put the video together now and make sure that doesn't happen to you guys, right? So Doug, any summary from you on the whole trip, I guess?
Well, again, I'm just going to go back and harp on the fact that your Bronco is incredibly capable, and your friend's Bronco is incredibly capable. Get them out there for wheeling for a cause and get some time under your belt. What am I going? I'm going on 23,000 miles, and I haven't even had it for a year. And that tells you how many miles you can put on it with going to Hurricane, going to Moab, going out to Rubicon. Amazing vehicle, but get those, if you haven't already, get those basic components on your vehicle, and then build up from there, because it makes it so much nicer to be out on the trail, not having to worry about your Bronco and just being able to enjoy. I probably had the most enjoyable time the whole time because my Bronco didn't wind up breaking. Now I did bypass a couple things, but my Bronco didn't wind up breaking, and you can do that too. Just go to BroncBuster.com, get those things installed that's right for you, and then come out and join us, man. Rubicon was amazing. It's a life experience, guys. If you've never driven the Rubicon, I can't tell you, you want to do it. You want to, it's like running a marathon. People say, I want to, be able to tell people I ran a marathon. You want to tell people you did the Rubicon. It's an incredible experience. So start gearing up your calendar for next year.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the other things I learned, I wanted to say is, oh shoot. Well, I was going to highlight this comment more to embarrass my daughter, but yes, I think Jamie, we ought to probably introduce, Reagan and Owen. Sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. Anyway, so one of the things I wanted to say though was I learned how to completely rebuild a steering rack, because now I didn't want to throw away my steering rack that I just ruined, and I've got a stack of about 15 racks that I still need to return to Ford on the cores. And I said, all right, I'm going to pull one. So just so everybody knows, the internals from a Haas 3.0 to a stock rack are identical. The rack, the rack and pinion on the inside, the bar itself is the same part number, same thickness, same gauge, same everything. So I had to learn how to disassemble. Well, I mean, I kind of already knew, but there's some parts of it that's hard to then pull it all apart, put it back together. And so I the other day I played with it until I have my rack completely rebuilt with some salvaged parts. So Haas 3.0, you might have noticed when I was playing that little video, I just actually went out this a little bit ago to show you the trail assist. I got lights on my dash again. Yeah, because I don't have the right steering rack in there. It's actually a steering rack that's supposed to be in a Badlands. Mine's a whatever. Anyway, so
Black Diamond.
Black Diamond, it wouldn't work. So I mean, it works. It just throws lights on. So until I put my rack back in sometime this weekend when I get time, it'll do that. But we had a great time. I'm going to go back and just look at, I don't know, Justin, have I missed any of the comments on here that maybe need to be highlighted, or you get them all?
I think you got them all.
Okay. Yes, Robert, it was one heck of an adventure. All I can say is we're going to try and put out there a little bit earlier next year when we're going to do it. And hopefully some of you guys can come out with us. I know that there were a couple other people that were planning on. Our group was actually going to be fairly big, and last minute, a bunch of people had stuff come up. But I think it'd be fun to have maybe 10 or 15 of us on next year. So maybe put it on your calendar for August sometime coming out. So
yep,
August, September, somewhere in that range. We want to do it again.
Yeah.
With that, I think it's about that time. We call it a night, and appreciate you guys joining us. Be looking forward. Some videos coming out. The next video will be possibly tomorrow or the next day, and we're actually going to jump forward to with Matt's Off-Road Recovery and show you all of our adventures on the sand chute to give us a little bit more time to get the video put together of the Rubicon, probably later on in the week or first part of next week. And then we'll follow that up with the part 2. So,
and definitely spread the word for wheelingforacause.org. We've got room for more people, and we'd love you guys to be there. I think it's going to be an awesome time.
Yeah. And again, if you can even just go on and donate or buy a raffle ticket, that helps support. And you have the ability to win some really cool stuff. So thank you guys. And hey, Ron, good to see you too, buddy. Hopefully we'll get to see you guys all out on the trail here real soon. And especially here at Wheeling for a Cause. Have a great evening, and thanks for joining us.